What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Barbells and Trails podcast. I'm your host, Brett. I don't know where to look today because we finally have multicam, so you can see me here and there and there. Well, you can't see me there, but you see
keep
him.
looking at that camera.
I keep looking at it like you can see me, but you can't.
Even that camera can't see it. So
Yeah, I know. So this is a lot different than normal. So hopefully this kind of makes the podcast feel a little more professional, I feel like, in certain aspects.
Professionals.
And I feel like in general it will make it look better because you're not looking at the side of our face all the time.
I mean, I look good all the time. It's just you that when you
but now it's just like you get to see it more head on, you know.
Yeah.
And it just makes it so much better. But this is episode 76. Our last episode was all about nuclear power. I hope you guys did enjoy that. I actually had a lot of fun doing that one. This one's more of a relaxed episode.
We got our, flannels on.
Yeah, I had to match him. He walked in with that, and I was like, okay. I got you. Let me go throw mine on. So we're the flannel boys today, as you can tell.
So.
But no, so this is our kind of our relaxed episode in between our serious topic of nuclear power and our first official guest of the year.
That's true.
This weekend, we have our first guest of the year, first person ever on with two of us, first person on with multicam. There's a lot of records being broken this week.
Dude.
So Brian, from our very first live stream, if you guys did tune in or you saw some of the shorts, anything along those lines, you probably saw the shorts more than you did the live stream. He is coming on this weekend. So it'll be a lot of fun to have him. I'm really honestly excited. But I do want to throw this out here before we get too far in the podcast and I forget. I'm going to ask it on Spotify, so if you guys are listening there or if you're watching on YouTube, like if there's any questions or anything you want to ask us or even have us ask Brian, throw it down there. Put it in the comments. Leave it on Spotify in the question polls page. Do something along those lines. Just because it would make it more interesting for us so we can maybe ask the questions and get answers that you guys are wondering. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. I think it'll be a lot of fun. He's like my work grandpa. He's my work granddad. So it'll be fun to have him on.
Is he your best coworker to work with?
Yes. I mean, I guess it depends. One of my favorite coworkers to work with overall, but sometimes do we butt head? Not, I wouldn't say butt heads, but how we work together sometimes isn't
Just
the same.
Connect.
Yeah, I think that's the only thing. I love working with them, but sometimes we don't coexist the best in certain aspects. But we also do similar but different enough jobs. So sometimes
I thought he was in the same department.
He is, but he focuses on different stuff than I do.
Oh,
so
really?
We don't necessarily always work like on the same projects. We kind of do our own shit.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So they kind of get split up, but no. So it'll be a lot of fun this weekend. Between that and then we'll be hitting some golf balls at Josh's golf simulator. So
yeah, I'm ready to get some golf in me again.
Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. So that's kind of one reason why Brian's coming up.
Did he fix it though?
I don't know. I need to ask him because if not, I told Freddie I wanna show up wearing a cup and a baseball helmet and just be ready.
I'll show up with freaking styrofoam all over me.
It sounds like bubble wrap, something like at least around the waist area for sure.
I don't want to get my ball exploded.
No, I don't want to get hit with a golf ball inside of a confined space.
That would not be fun.
No, it didn't look like fun when I saw Freddie, so I'm not totally looking forward to that.
Yeah.
So I did kind of mention this to you off camera, but I feel like I might as well mention it to you on here. So you said you've never read, like you know who David Goggins is, correct?
Yes.
Okay. But you've never read Can't Hurt Me?
No.
Okay. Well, depending on how long some of these people have been listening, I did an episode on him like almost a year and a half ago. It was like episode number 8.
Okay.
When I for the first time listened to his book, which I hadn't before. I got his new one. I've started it. I thought it'd be really good to almost do like a callback episode. Me finish his new book, you read his first book, and then here in maybe 2 weeks or something, do an episode on David Goggins, breaking down his life story. We can kind of compare notes.
That's what the book's about?
Yeah, it's about him, his journey, a lot of different things, just mental fortitude. I mean, I'm guessing you know the gist of who he is and
Yes.
some of his story.
He's insane.
Yeah. You get a lot more of the backstory and extra details, especially in the first book. Just kind of like
Gotcha.
like his journey into becoming a Navy SEAL, how challenging it was for him. Because I'll be honest, before that, like I knew who he was. I did not know him. But I knew he was a SEAL, but I didn't know his actual like personal struggles even growing up and all that. Like I didn't know he's from Indiana, sort of. Yeah. Like initially Buffalo, but then graduated in Indiana and stuff. So I thought that'd be a cool episode to work on here in the future. I'm like, well, I'm already reading the book, and I wasn't sure if you had read the first one. So since you hadn't, I was like, this might be a perfect lineup.
Hey.
So we can kind of compare notes and go over stuff, and I thought it'd be fun.
That would be fun.
Because he's a very, very interesting man.
Yeah, I actually just saw a video about him. I mean, not just then, but last week maybe. But
let me guess, was it when he was on Andrew Huberman?
No.
Dang it.
No.
He was on Andrew Huberman.
So his wife was video recording.
Oh yeah.
In a truck right behind him.
Yep.
It was like 3 a.m.
Yep.
And he just gets up. He's like, I'm running a marathon right now, and he just gets up and just starts running, dude.
The dude is insane.
And it's like 3 a.m. and he just finishes like a whole marathon. And it's like, huh? I wanted to do it, so I did it.
No, he's crazy. Like I need to listen to. I feel like this would be a fun topic eventually, but like I want to listen to Kim Haynes, his book Endurer. I have it. I just haven't listened to it yet. But no, the whole reason why I kind of got back into that book, because I forgot I already had it on Audible. I just hadn't started. Was because I noticed he came on Andrew Huberman's podcast, which I don't know if you know who he is, but
I think I've heard his name.
He's a very famous neurobiologist from Stanford. He has a podcast. He breaks down a lot of stuff when it comes to health, neurobiology, how the brain works, a lot of cool stuff. But he had him on, and I was like, oh, that would be an interesting conversation. Someone that's just mentally tough, basically is a very smart dude in his own right, but at the same time doesn't understand science and the actual like function. And then someone that literally studies the brain to look at somebody that's probably one of the most crazy mentally tough people in the world and kind of break that down. Like there was one thing he talked about that made a lot of sense, and even Goggins kind of realized it was like apparently there's a certain spot in the brain that basically grows like a muscle when you do things you hate and don't want to do. And basically pushing yourself into discomfort and doing things you don't like will make that a larger section of your brain and actually grow it and develop it over time. But it's also same as like muscle structures. If you don't use it and you go back to a very sedative lifestyle, or you're overweight and you just eat fast food and you become comfy and you want that stuff, it will shrink again. And so it's literally like a very dynamic portion of the brain, depending on your actual physical action and how you like fight through like mental hurdles, I guess would be a good way to put it.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I was like, man, now that they said that, I was like, I would have loved to see a brain scan of him in like 2000 and a brain scan of him now, because you know that section of his brain probably like quadrupled in size hands down compared to him when he was 24. Because that's when it all started. He was 24, weighed like 300 pounds. Like it's his story's insane. And I mean, really he worked for LabCorp. Like I've seen those trucks. I know LabCorp. Like they do fast food restaurants. Like that's an Indiana extermination company. Yeah, that's who he worked for back in the day. And actually, at the time, I think he was living in Fishers or somewhere. Like he lived reasonably local at the time.
That's insane, actually.
Or Zionsville, somewhere in that area. But obviously, this was early 2000s, I think.
Right.
If not sooner. Might have been 90s.
I probably wasn't born.
But, yeah, I might not have been born. But, no, so I think that would be a fun episode to do.
That would be just fun listening to it.
Oh, yeah. It's an amazing story. But, well, I guess we kind of planned a few things. Not a lot.
We plan so much. We're professionals.
We're professionals, I think. We need AI to take over and just help us eventually.
I don't know if I want that.
Just with certain aspects, the positive stuff. I don't want them.
Okay. Well, you said AI to take over.
Well, not take over.
You
but,
said
like,
take over.
That's not what I meant. All right.
Yeah,
I want to live my life. Leave me alone.
was
But
gonna say,
help me out when I need
I'm
it.
comfortable.
That's what I need. Just give me the support I need.
yeah.
It's just like give me a little nudge, because sometimes my brain just doesn't function.
Very true.
But one of the things that happened, I believe Monday, that I didn't know, and this is actually kind of interesting, is Microsoft has officially overtaken Apple by becoming the highest valued company in the world now.
Really?
For $2.89 trillion.
Wow.
And Apple is 2.88. And Apple's been the highest valued company, I think, now for years and years.
Wow.
Which
That's insane. Actually.
that's crazy. I really don't know what would have brought Microsoft over the edge. That's what I
recently came out.
And in certain aspects is also kind of surprising. Amazon, sorry, Apple's done so well considering the vast amount of things that Microsoft is involved in. Because it's like they make computers, they make like their Xbox, so then they also include certain game companies because of that. Like there's so much tied into them when like Apple is mainly Apple.
Mm-hmm.
That's also really impressive to think that, like, considering even if you go on the variety of things that these two companies offer, the stuff that Microsoft has under its umbrella is way larger than Apple.
Right.
And Apple was still larger than them monetarily.
I feel like
years.
Microsoft has more of a variety.
Yes.
But
maybe that's why Apple did so well. They focused on one thing.
Yeah, but Apple probably just sells a crap ton.
Oh, yeah. It's crazy.
So
yeah. I mean, it's insane, the market share.
Expensive.
I mean, I think Apple literally owns about 50% almost, if not more. They almost have damn near a monopoly on the phone market share in the United States, hands down.
I mean,
which is crazy to think about.
Even me, I use Apple.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah.
So,
they make good phones.
They do. I mean, I was Android for a while.
Me too.
And there's certain aspects about Android that are cool.
I was like iPod.
Yep.
To Android. To iPod to flip phone to Android.
Yeah.
Then to my phone.
Okay, so wait, I know this is like just a random topic and not necessarily anything we're talking about, but why not? How old were you when you got a phone? Because you're 3 years younger than me.
A smartphone?
Just in general. When did you
a flip phone?
Access to a cell phone?
Well, I got my flip phone. Probably, I had my iPod, and that was like, back in the day, that's what everybody had.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I was probably 10 to 11 when I got my iPod, so that would have been 2014.
Okay. So, how old were you when you officially got your first, cell phone?
And then, I think 15, I had a flip phone for, a year. And then,
so, in all reality, you haven't had a phone very long.
And then, probably, then I was, 16, 17 plus.
So 3 years roughly.
Yeah, if more.
When you think about that, that's actually not
3 to 4 probably years. Yeah.
It's actually kind of crazy because it doesn't feel like, because in the end that's not that long of a time.
Well, so that reel I just sent you, right?
Yes.
It's just I mean, this is definitely not what we're talking about.
No,
We're totally. But it's just I was reading the comments. It's just we're the last of our generation to
no, for sure,
actually know what the word looks like without
phones.
Just taken over by technology.
No, for sure.
And it's just I don't know if it was just a filter they were using, but it just made everything look just.
Well, some of that's probably actual old footage.
Yeah, but it just made everything feel just, I don't
calming.
know. Brought me back to my childhood.
That is nostalgia.
Yeah.
In a
so
syringe.
When you're saying I didn't have a phone much, I was just I really didn't care. Honestly, I was just of course I was homeschooled. I had my brothers.
Well, no, yeah. Well, I'm just because that's the thing. You probably you didn't have a phone, but you probably had internet before I did.
Yeah.
So there's some differences there, but I had a cell phone by the time I was 9 years old.
Yeah.
I had a flip phone, and so I know you didn't have, and even then I kind of came up on the later side of things. I'm not a millennial, so I didn't have quite the progression of phones on like as they changed over the years from like the old Nokias and all that stuff. Like I didn't have all those.
Yeah, I didn't.
But at the same time, I still had a transition. So part of the reason why I had a phone so young was me and my sister were getting off the bus at that age.
Yeah.
In the middle of the country, divorced parents, both parents worked, so we didn't have a home phone. So we had that basically to call or text our parents to be like, hey, we're home, or in case of an emergency. So like at the time, it wasn't a social thing. Social media wasn't invented yet. At the time, technically the iPhone would have been invented at that point. But like initially it was like, oh, I had a flip phone, and then eventually Bailey got one, but it was also old. So like it was also cheap phones. And we had like the slide keyboards and like all this stuff.
I remember
and then,
those actually.
And from there it was like, then like some of the first smartphones we had, which were like really cheap Android smartphones. They were not Apple by any means, and just like really random Androids. They might have been Samsungs, but they would have been like the really budget ones, and probably even then at least a year or two old.
Right.
So there's like working our way up, where I know like some people started with like the old big Nokias, and then they like worked their way over to like their first iPhone and all that stuff. So it's like, it's weird to see like the crazy phone transition even the past 20 years.
Actually, yeah.
But I do know what you mean. We are, because even that's the thing. Our generation, I think, ends not till 2010. So some of those kids don't even still understand the stuff we've seen. That's the thing. You and me are 3 years older, or 3 years apart, and I have a slight difference from you. And the people older than me have even more of a difference.
Yep.
And they relate more to millennials. But like, we were there. We had a childhood really before the internet completely took over. Like we saw YouTube, we saw all these internet platforms like start and slowly build to what they are today.
Yeah.
Where they were not like that at all back in the day. They were ass. Like I remember when Snapchat first came out, and I was like, "What is this? Like, what is going on here?"
I remember like Nathan, because I mean he's your age.
Yeah, he's the older one.
Yeah,
so.
And like Snapchat came up, and he was just like, "What is this?"
Yeah,
and then he
just
got
Instagram,
it from
or like,
he's like, "This is stupid."
Yeah, I mean, yes, it was so different at the time, and some of the old things I posted on Instagram, so dumb, like just random stuff. Oh yeah, for sure.
You deleted them though, didn't you?
Oh yes. Some of them were so bad. I mean, I had buddies of mine make memes of me, like turn me into a meme format. It's some of the stuff he came up with. Like, you're talking about teenager dark humor. Oh, he was coming up with some wild stuff, and it was just taking.
And you posted that?
No, he did.
Oh.
But it was literally just taking some of my Instagram posts and then cutting everything out and then putting me in different scenarios or captions.
Like, bullying you? Or
no,
just...
it was a buddy of mine. I mean, I found it hilarious, but it was just so funny. Like I posted, let's just say I posted a selfie of me holding my paintball gun or something at one point. So he just took me and then put me in different scenarios, and one was like just invaded like Russia with the boys, and it's like a black and white photo in the 1940s when like Germany invaded Russia or something, like the most outrageous stuff, and he would just like send them to me and different stuff, and we were like hashtag Bret memes, and like,
oh, that's actually hilarious.
Just like random stuff. He probably still has that somewhere on a computer somewhere or something. Let's just say he always reposted and did stuff on his Instagram that he went through multiple accounts. Like he would get his accounts deleted. Just
banned.
Banned and deleted by stuff. So he made some interesting posts for sure. But they were always so funny. I mean, especially when we were like 14 at the time or something, and it just cracked us up.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy how crazy that kind of stuff's changed. But speaking of technology and iPhones, Microsoft also did this.
Overtook Apple?
No, we already did that one. Microsoft used AI to see how they could advance battery technology, basically to move away from lithium, because lithium is so important. It's basically the thing that holds up the battery industry, but it's also a very hard metal to get, and it's a very what's the word? Let's just say not an ethically sourced mineral by any means. Basically, if you look at the where lithium and cobalt come from, it's still slavery in certain cases. And stuff like that. But basically, they started using the AI to try coming up with different battery compositions, what they could come up with. In 80 hours, less than 80 hours, they were able to come up with 18 different possible minerals that could be used to create other battery types. And one was something where it still used lithium, I believe, but less lithium, and it used a lot of sodium. So something that's a lot more easy to produce and get your hands on, and certain things along those lines. So it'll be interesting to see, especially over the next 10 years, where battery technology goes, because there's a lot of different possibilities. But even as AI gets into certain things, like imagine AI coming up with a better design for nuclear reactors and more efficient designs, or it comes up with different ideas to be used for the waste to make batteries, better batteries, or like we talked about for the steelwork systems and stuff. Like, it's interesting to see where AI will kind of have its like positive little fingerprints in certain things of being able to advance stuff quicker, because it's able to look at a bigger picture than what we can in one instant. So it'll be interesting to see where it goes. But it's crazy.
Like, honestly, lithium batteries, I mean, of course they're amazing in the smartphones industry, but like my transmitter, my receiver, my transmitter batteries takes 18 hours for full charge. That's like a whole day.
That's the thing. Some of it'll be interesting, because depending on how they develop things, and even the past 10 years, technology's gotten better. They've had longer lasts. They've taken less time to charge. So it's like, eventually it could get to the point where we're using different batteries. Maybe to charge your phone, it literally takes 5 minutes full charge.
I know.
Or something along those lines. And it might have a 2-day battery, possibly. Or even if you don't have one that long, because maybe you just don't need it, in general, the battery is way smaller. And so then you have a larger processing power for your phones, or something along those lines. So there's so many different things that could possibly change your vehicles, like electric vehicles, stuff along those lines. So there's a lot of big potential. I think I just also saw something this week where I believe, I want to say Arizona, but that's not the right state. But a certain state, one of them out of the 50, I can't remember which, opened the first ever electric car charging roadway on the highway.
I think I saw a video about that.
I have no idea how it works. But supposedly there's one lane. I don't know. It's in the U.S. It is in the U.S., but I feel like it was the East Coast. But it could be wrong.
I thought I saw something like in Norway or something.
Maybe, was it Norway?
Something like that.
I don't know. So somewhere. How about this? Somewhere in the world.
I think it's interesting because when I had
I don't know how it works or actually how efficient it is, but also it's like, do we have enough electric vehicles for that to be worthwhile? And then also, does that mean you're going to start ripping up more roads to put this kind of stuff on? So it becomes a very big
when I had
situation.
When I had my Ford C-Max, it charged the battery like through the braking system. So
that's what Tesla does.
Yeah, so like you didn't have to charge it at all.
Yeah, well, obviously, but you also still have fuel. Like, you have regular fuel.
Right.
Where, like, Teslas do still have, like, that same kind of build. I can't remember what it's called, regenerative braking.
Yeah, that's what mine was.
So it does help reduce and turn some of that kinetic energy back into energy for the battery. So that'll be interesting to see how it rolls out. Like, I've even seen concepts and ideas of, like, almost like a... What was it? It was like a solar panel road almost, where it's obviously not going to be the same as regular solar panels. It's not going to produce the same amount of energy, but possibly a way eventually very cost effective, where obviously it might not be on the highways for big trucks or all this stuff, but even let's say a downtown square or in the main part of small towns, you use this material instead and your roads literally produce energy. Or something along those lines. Like, there's some weird things where they're like, how is there ways for us to produce electricity through just the advent of having to have roads and cars and try to find some way to get energy out of that relationship.
That would be kind of cool if they could figure that out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's something that I think I showed you. I sent it to you. because we were talking about it. I think it was literally right after we recorded last week, and it was where someone's trying to design a new form of solar panels where they're completely clear, so you could use them as glass in buildings, and instead of having to have big old
just
solar
a window,
panels.
you know?
Yeah, just literally solar powered windows, pretty much. Where I don't know if it would necessarily be quite as efficient as a regular solar panel, but it's something. Like it's obviously going to do something.
That's kind of cool.
It's like every little bit counts, and it's like if that gets better and better, you never know where it's going to go off to.
Right. Huh.
So what is it you've been up to this week?
You know, honestly, so just work, you know, and living with you, you know. Yep.
Yeah.
How do you like the new roommate?
Pretty good.
Is it just
pretty good?
Does it get annoying?
No, he's pretty tolerable.
Okay. Okay.
He plays a lot of Fortnite though.
That's all you're gonna say about me now.
I have to admit, you do play it more than I would have imagined. But at the same time, you were kind of restricted by your old internet to not be able to play. So this is also like some of the first times where you're just kind of able to go balls to the wall.
My
with
internet literally would cut out like every 5 seconds.
Yeah, so this is like your first chance really getting access to it. So I understand. Like the first time I got my Xbox, I couldn't tell you an evening, especially when I had internet, an evening that I practically wasn't just playing COD 2019.
Hey, I didn't do it today, so.
That's true. I got home, you were cleaning dishes and jamming out to music. I was he was having a good time.
Were you proud?
I was proud. I was like,
proud dad
wow.
moment.
Like, look at him. Like, I could hear the music as I walked up, and I was like, he's listening to music.
Yeah,
and he's just in there quietly singing to himself, just doing dishes. I was like, oh, yeah, that's like me. I do that all the time. I'll just be jamming to something.
Oh, my gosh.
Cleaning house.
But, okay, so going back to, like, inventions. In the human, like, just all over the world.
Yeah.
So, did you know that...
I'll close my eyes.
Did you know that actually there's more pyramids in Sudan than there are in Egypt?
Sudan.
Yeah. It's in Africa.
I was gonna say that's in Africa too, right?
Yeah.
But where? It's over on the east side, correct? It's like south of Egypt?
Yeah, it's like honestly the neighbors, I think.
Oh.
We're close to neighbors.
You know what? That doesn't totally surprise me. I think there's also more pyramids. I mean, I don't know. Don't quote me on this, but I think there might be more pyramids in Mexico than there are in Egypt. There's actually a chance. There's a chance. I kind of want to Google that.
There's only 138 pyramids in Egypt, and there's over like 255 in Sudan. So it's like not even by like a small amount.
Yeah.
It's like I was kind of just like compelled, I guess.
Yeah, no, that is cool.
Because you always hear about the pyramids in Egypt and how great they are. Yeah,
just because they're the big ones. That's basically it. Yeah. I think that's why they're so talked about. Is they're still some of the largest pyramids in the world,
right?
With the most impressive build, and it's super close to a major city center,
right?
So
I mean,
it's just everywhere. Everybody gets to see it. Like it's in the middle of nowhere, but it's by a desert, so it's pretty obvious. Where it's like. That's what's going to be interesting over the next 20 years. What are we going to discover in the Amazon? They keep finding more and more traces of human civilizations, more cities where there could have literally been tens of millions of people living in the Amazon at one point that we did not know about.
I mean, I'm not going to just go off by like movies, but like there's tons of movies. Just like, you know, I'm probably just fiction. But could not be. Like there was one with
that was very vague.
I mean,
like what movies are we talking about? I guess.
I mean, just like ancient civilizations in the Amazon.
Yeah.
There's just like
what's that one?
I believe that there is actually
City of Z. Is that what that one?
City of Z. Thank you.
Yes. There's actual journals wrote about stuff, and they're like.
I mean, I honestly believe that there's probably
for sure
at least 2 or 3.
I think at this point it's almost guaranteed because there was, if I remember correctly, and I couldn't tell you who, but I'm pretty sure there has been journals found from explorers back in like the 1400s or earlier being like, yeah, there was people everywhere in the Amazon. We went up the Nile, what? Wrong continent. Went up the Amazon River,
Right.
saw massive cities, all these different things. It wrote about it, told people, came back to like England, maybe Europe, wherever, and 100 years later, people went and they were like, "What are you talking about? There's nothing here." And I think that is the thing that a lot of people do lack in understanding is that yes, we did some major atrocities to the Native Americans in general in our country, let alone everywhere else and other countries. But I think, and I wasn't taught this. I didn't find this out until only like a year and a half ago, that 90% of the native population all was wiped out from disease. It wasn't even things we did. It was just by us showing up, not realizing it. And 90% of their population disappeared. In all reality, if that didn't happen, I don't think our country would be what it is today, because there was an estimated number that there might almost damn near been as many Native Americans here as there was in Europe at the time. Probably. Like almost 60 million Native Americans in North America. Like, and I mean, you go from 60 million to basically 55, like, or gone. You only have 5 million people spread across the country.
Just think about it. All of United States of America, that was all Indians, basically. Like, Indiana. Indians.
That's literally why our name is derived from that. There was a lot of major parts of the Native American culture here, like many big clans.
It's insane.
And so it is crazy to think about that, where it's like the jungle could literally have, within 100 years, like it could have taken 10 years for even, let's say, a similar situation in the Amazon story. 90% of the people to die. So if you have a city of 1 million people and now you only have 100,000, they're going to leave because they can't sustain themselves. They can't keep up with this. And we've seen how fast cities can be taken over by forests. I mean, if you look at certain places in Detroit, buildings that were there 10 years ago, literally have trees growing out of them. So if you go 100 years, especially in a jungle, how quickly is that vegetation going to consume those buildings and just cover them up?
I just can't wait until we actually have explored all of the Amazon.
It's gonna be pretty crazy. LiDAR is probably the biggest thing with that.
I mean, I get why they literally can't go fast, because there's so many diseases, so many animals,
and it's so thick. Like it's one of the most unhospitable places, in the world. It's one of the most dangerous places in the world, I guess.
It definitely is. Like, I've seen just pictures of huge snakes. Too.
Anacondas? Nope.
I'm like,
well, you know who Yes Theory are.
Yes.
Did you ever watch their basically documentary? How they went to, I believe it was Guatemala, where they found this pyramid, and estimations believe that it's actually now the world's largest pyramid. It's bigger than the Giza pyramids, and it's just in the middle of nowhere, out in the jungle. And they take like a 2-day journey. It's like a 20-mile hike, plus all these like bus ride to get there, all this stuff. And they climb it, and you don't even realize it for a long time, but they're actually walking up this pyramid, and it feels like you're just walking up a hill, and it is part of the building. And they've only excavated, but like, and start to
it's all buried in dirt.
Yeah, it's not buried under dirt, but by trees, and slowly but surely been clearing it out and like replacing it and trying to put it back together. That's why that kind of stuff takes so long, is because it's like, one, you got to slowly remove all these trees, but two, honestly, they try to piece it back together like a damn puzzle to make it what it was as best as they can. Like, especially when it came to like, what are some of those sites in Mexico? I'm blanking on the names, but like the Aztec cities. I'm blanking on any of the names at this point. But you know what I'm talking about. They had to do similar situations there. But it's like, this could be the world's largest pyramid that we know of, and it's hidden in the middle of this jungle.
Yeah, that's insane.
It's crazy. That's a good little documentary to watch.
That's another link about Graham Hancock.
Mm-hmm.
That one we watched, the very first episode,
and
he was talking about one that was underground, that he like literally found something that's hidden underground, but the government wouldn't let them dig.
Yeah, they won't fund or allow.
I honestly hate that.
Yeah, bureaucracy.
I was like,
can be rough.
Screw the funding.
Yeah, can we just start digging? Get a shovel, boys. We're
All
just
right.
gonna start. But I mean, if it's a historical site,
That makes
it
sense.
limits
But then
a
again,
lot.
what if there's more to it? You know,
Exactly.
like I don't get it.
Yeah, that's the thing. You haven't finished that documentary.
I need to, dude.
Yeah.
I really want to. I just never had to.
You never got the chance at the
Yeah.
time. Oh, not only this is one of our last news outlets things.
Okay.
So our president's son, Mr. Hunter Biden, apparently I don't know. I don't pay attention to the news half the time, but apparently he's, because of inquiries for impeachment, they want more information from him, and basically been about his situation and a laptop and like all that stuff. You know, you've heard some of that. And I guess he walked into this meeting or something, and one of the senators how is it still senator for a woman? Is that how you call it? Yeah, still senator. She yelled at him and said, "What do you not have?" Basically saying, "Do you not have any balls to come up here on the stand and actually tell the truth and all this stuff?" And then later on, a reporter outside asked him, he's like, "So, Hunter, what kind of crack do you like to smoke?"
What?
So, basically, some of this information is being finally taken, I think, a little more public, where people are like, he just doesn't want to talk about his past and situations, but it's at this point pretty well known that he was a hell of a partier and have gotten away with certain things because of who his dad is and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And he just won't fess up to it and own it, because technically all these things he was doing was illegal. And so it's a pretty interesting situation to be the president's son. I mean, like, that'd be like something, I know this is outrageous to say, but like, it'd be like now, let's say if, I don't know if it's outrageous, but it's like, just imagine if Obama was in term for two terms like he was, but instead of his daughters being as young as they were closer to 18, and in his second term, they just went out guns a-blazing, kind of like when like Justin Bieber got older and just started doing ridiculous stuff. I mean, obviously, we're working at different age levels, because I think Hunter Biden's 60 and Joe's in his 80s. So different age groups, but at the same time, it's like, imagine if something like that happened. You'd be like, what the hell? This is the president's kid, and we know that they're doing all this shit. Like, what is going on?
I was there, and then you lost me when you said Biden, so I don't like that name.
Fair enough. So what else did you have on your bulletin for today? Is that mainly it?
Bulletin? So, I mean, we did talk about this a little bit.
Yeah.
So, it was Christianity and, like, those people talking about actually, like, what happens when we die.
Oh.
Well, like, I was just getting that out there and stuff. But I was just, like, thinking, just, like, how life can be, like, overlooked. Because a lot of people just, like, think life just moves on. You can't really do much about it, which, I mean, it does. But just, like, life is short. Like, don't take it as a chance. Take it as an opportunity. You know? Like, I don't know. It's just one of those things that I always just, I don't know how to say it, but, like, dealt with.
You've been meditating today.
Yes.
No,
and taking crack.
Oh, whoa. I mean, I know what you're saying, because me and Noah's talked about it, and I see it in both lights. I feel like in certain aspects, life is super short.
It is.
But then also, I think in other situations, it's also a lot longer than some people realize. Like, I think some people almost force themselves into a box that it's like, not saying you don't want to accomplish and do things, but at the same time, you got a long time to figure stuff out. You don't have to know what to do and how to do things now. Life is all about the process as well. Yes. And sometimes that process is ugly. So it's like, that's why when I think in that mindset where I'm like, well, life is a lot longer than you think. Like, when people are like, well, I'm 22, I'm not successful, I look at, and social media is what kind of lights this fire to make more people feel this way. But it's like, I'm not as successful as Mr. Beast. He has 200 billion subscribers and he has all this money and or all this stuff, and people compare themselves to others where they think they should be, and it's like, that's not normal. They're some of the top people in whatever field or category or whatever. Just because you're 20 doesn't mean that you should have all this money. You are at the very precipice of where life really begins.
Everybody's life is different. Like, you're never going to, or you never should be trying to follow somebody else's step, really.
No.
You always should try to take a different path. One of my best quotes that I like is it's by Steph Curry.
Okay.
And it's just like
another guy, he plays basketball.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know if I can say a word, but basically just like, do not try to be like somebody else. Always try to be something better than somebody else. So do never...
because everybody has their flaws.
Yeah.
You see the perfect side of things, and it's like, that's the easy stuff to see. But it's like, you don't know... Like, okay, you might look at some eccentric millionaire, and that's even small compared to, let's say, billionaire, because I about said that, but it's like, even getting to $1 million's a big deal, depending on what it is. But it's like, you honestly don't know what this person might have done. They might look pretty good on the outside, they might have done that, but in all reality, maybe in their practice or their business, they cut corners, and they actually screwed a lot of people over to get where they are. It's like, okay, well, you might want to resemble them by becoming a millionaire, but would you actually want to go down the same path and cause the devastation this big businessman on Wall Street might have done to be able to get where he is? And that's also something like some people got to look at. It's like some people, or even when it comes to religious things, like we're talking about George Janko. I was going to bring him up here in a minute anyways. Did you listen to the episode where he had Cliff, what's his name? I can't remember the guy's name, but he goes around to college campuses basically having open debates about Christianity.
I know who you're talking about. I know exactly.
I'm blanking on his name.
Yep.
But that was one thing they were talking about. He's like, I've had people ask me, why is it, if God's so good and he treats people well, all these things, why is it that terrible people end up being successful and having money? It's like, well, that's not, God doesn't have his finger on everything. He doesn't force things to do these. He's like, some people are just very smart and they screw people over. They don't necessarily do it right. He's like, I know Christians in poverty. I know Christians with millions. There's like, it's a two-way street.
That's another thing. So I was listening to the Joe Rogan podcast with Dwayne The Rock. And even he said, like, I mean, he was talking about just like the importance of money. And just like, if you get just like Dwayne Johnson, he was talking about like he got his first $100,000. Yeah. And he just like felt a weight of just like relief. And I was just like, that's the thing. I don't want money to be a greedy materialist. That's the thing. I mean, I like money, of course. Money is great, of course. But like, what's the end goal of my life? Like, it's of course going to heaven and seeing our Father. You know. So like, I love money, and I think money is great. But like, I feel like if you put money, just let's
on
just
a pedestal.
Say
if you worship money, if you
worship money, that's just like worshiping the devil.
Yeah, false idols. If you're going on the Christian point of view with it, yeah, for sure. But that's the thing he was talking about with that. He's like, some people when it comes to business are just lucky. They're in the right place, the right time. They're very smart. Doesn't mean they're a good person, but they ended up in amazing places, and they've made hundreds of millions of dollars. Doesn't mean they're great people.
Exactly.
But
money does not describe a person.
No,
it doesn't.
No, it doesn't. But it's great when you do see amazing people with money. Yes. Because it's like they were blessed. They help people. Yeah, they're not just going to give it all away, because who would? Honestly, if you were in that situation and you had $10 million, and you've made that much money, or even let's say it's yearly, you really think you're going to throw 99% of it down the toilet and give it to everybody?
See, that's like going back to like homeless people.
Yeah.
You see a homeless person on the side of the road, you want to give them money, but you don't know if they're going to spend the money on actually food, providing for themselves, or just drugs. Going to get drugs and getting high or something. You just don't know.
Yeah, and that's where like
I want to help people.
Do you know? Sorry, I know this is just kind of on the topic of giving money, but like, do you know who Alex Hormozy is?
I think so.
So he's done a couple podcasts. I kind of introduced Noah to him. He really likes him, but the dude's made a lot of money in his day, and he's pretty young. And he probably will at one point be a billionaire. Like he's He's on track
wow.
to doing some crazy stuff in business. And basically him and his wife have already decided, like, he's talked about it. He's like, I don't want to give money to my kids. He's like, I don't even know if I want kids. But he's like, him and his wife, and so have other big billionaires. I'm pretty sure like Bill Gates and some other people who are signed up for this, where it's when they die, their money just gets given away. Like it just gets dissolved into a bunch of foundations.
I don't know if you know Shaq,
donated.
he's a basketball player.
Yeah.
That's what he says about his kid. He's like, I'm not giving you my money. You have to work for it.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't work for it, like, that's just like...
Yeah, there's a fine line. I'm not just going to toss money at my kids.
Because I feel like it doesn't make them necessarily soft, but in a way...
They don't learn.
In a way, you need to get that just determination and motivation to actually...
They shouldn't expect it.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
If you go through life all the way by getting given just money and money, then you won't want to work. You won't have any motivation to do anything.
Yeah.
Or desire, yes.
No.
It's just, I don't know.
I mean, that's even the thing, like, when we had our first live stream, and one of the questions was, like, are you satisfied with life? All of us answered no. Very reasonable question. A lot of it makes sense. Josh's reasoning, though, I feel like is a lot more, in certain ways, selfish. Just because not selfish, again? But basically some of it was, like, he's like, oh, monetarily. And that was his main thing. And he's like, I wish I had more money because I could do this, I could do that, or whatever. And I want to make more money. I'm like, I get that, but to me, that's not going to bring meaning to my life. Like, I'm not going to feel like I've succeeded. Like, even if I die poor, if I'm able to live a fulfilling life in other ways, I'm fine with that. Not saying I wish I didn't have a more extravagant life by any means, but I would be okay with it. Where if I just focused on chasing money, there's going to be other aspects of my life that completely go downhill. I might lose track of my family. I might end up divorced. I might, whatever, my kids might hate me. And those are things I don't want. Is money very important? Yes. And do I want to have some sort of significant value when it comes to my wealth and to be able to provide? 100%. But that is not my number one priority.
Yes. Yep.
And so that was one thing I even noticed with him. And that's the thing. He's hit certain mile markers already. He has a kid. He has grandkids. Right. He's more settled when it comes to certain things. So it's like, okay, well, yeah, maybe for him, there's not really too many more milestones he wants to hit. But it's like, for me, when we were talking about that, it's like, my thing really has nothing to do with money. It doesn't have anything to do with having a car or a fancy house that would make me satisfied. I was like, I feel like right now, like, the things in my life that I know I don't have that would allow me to be more satisfied in my life is having a family. Like, that would be number one. Being able to 100%. Provide for even my family, like, now, like my mom, my dad, my sister, that would be amazing when it came to monetary gain. But even just having a family, getting married, having kids, that would mean so much more to me than having millions of dollars.
I 100% agree. I 100%. Because, like, I'm still young. I'm 19. But, like, I always thought just, like, actually getting married and actually having a kid, actually having a house together. And it's just, like, I don't know, a warm feeling, I guess. I don't want to sound cheesy, but.
Yeah.
It's just, like, that's the end goal. And that's one of the end goals.
The ultimate goal for me. Like, that's the big thing. And I know at one point it's like, that's something I'm actually going to have to pursue, but I don't feel like I'm there yet. That's like, there's a time and place, I feel like, for someone to really pursue marriage, but it also depends on how you look at it. Some people don't value marriage today.
Yeah. I mean, like,
that's also
literally
sad.
one of my good friends, she just got engaged and she's 19 and her boyfriend's 20. But the thing is, I mean, of course he has money actually, and he has enough to buy a house and all that. But, like, I'm just so happy for them getting married. I mean, yes, they're young, and I know they're going to face challenges in life, but just getting married and actually having that love for a loved one and just actually expressing it and showing it, it means a lot.
It's amazing to see.
It means a lot.
I haven't been to a wedding in a long time, but it's something it would have a lot more impact and meaning to me now actually going to one.
Yep.
Because I was in and been around plenty as a child. Right. I was probably in 8 weddings myself, or been a part of one, or been at one. But, like, as a kid, you don't understand.
Yeah. I mean,
the meaning behind the day. You were just there. You're like, where's the cake? I gotta carry this damn pillow with rings on it again. Like, how long do I gotta stand up here? You guys are just gonna kiss. Like, can we go home yet? Like, it carries no meaning to the child mind.
Yeah.
But it's like, even now, it's like, it is so cheesy, but it's like, as someone in my mid-20s that puts a lot of value on that aspect of life, like going to see someone, especially if I really cared about them, to see their marriage, and be there for it, I couldn't tell you how much happiness that would bring. That is one thing. No offense to like Nikki and Freddie, but I wish they weren't married, and I wish they could redo it, and I wish I was there because I wasn't at their wedding, and I feel like, but also at the time I wasn't as good as friends with either of them. So it's like, I wish now, it's like, damn it, I wish I was there to live that memory with them, because it would have been such an amazing day. To experience. But
bless them.
It's awesome. But so not only that, so speaking of like George Janko and everything, so you've been listening to the Andrew Tate podcast with him, correct? Yeah. So I listened to it a couple weeks ago. I actually talked about it a little bit, and I really messed up one thing. It got posted as a short. It was just, my wording was so spread out, but I don't know if you've gotten to the point. So I'll just go. I'll hopefully use this for short, but I'll also tell you, have you gotten to the point where Nate talks about his 3 main like pillars that he thinks will bring success and very important to a masculine male lifestyle?
Honestly, I might have.
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, I'm gonna make this like a short. So I'm talking to you, but I'm talking to them.
Okay.
We're gonna go for it, okay? Because I don't want to mess this up.
You're so ready for this. Let's do this.
Let's go.
Come on.
So Andrew Tate has 3 pillars in life that he believes will bring the most success to a man. Number 1 is wealth, making money. That is not what it was. What was number 1? It wasn't wealth. It was.
I don't think I actually got to this part. So.
What was the third one? Oh shit.
Wow, you did great. That was amazing. 10 out of 10.
Dang it, I kind of wish I could go rewatch the short, because I know I mentioned one. What if it was money? Oh, okay, got it. All
okay, redo.
All right, Rigo. I don't know. How do you rewind? But whatever.
I can't do it.
Yeah. All right, we got this. Andrew Tate's 3 pillars of masculine energy and meaning for success. Number 1, being a strong man. Fitness, working out, getting healthy, being strong mentally and physically when it comes to doing basically anything. Number 2, get wealthy, get money, because without it, you can't do a lot. Money makes life easier, like we talked. Money makes life more fun. You can provide for your family and many other people's, and just keep growing in wealth. And he also thinks that if you focus on finding wealth, you'll grow in job opportunities, networking, meet a lot of great people, and learn a lot if you go down that path chasing money in certain aspects. And then number 3, which I feel like is a very important one, is brotherhood. Having a good group of men and friends around you to help carry you through life and be there to push you just as much as you push them. And those are kind of his 3 pillars that he thinks defines a successful masculine life.
100%.
And listening to it, I'm like, he's not wrong. Like that, it makes a lot of sense. It was like, there's a couple things there that I lacked growing up. It's like, I didn't have a sense of brotherhood for a long time. I didn't have money or fitness. And it's like, these past couple years I've worked on I feel like all 3 of those categories a lot more. And I feel like it has done a lot positively for me and myself and other people around me. And I feel like some of the things he says does carry a lot of weight. Yeah, I mean, you said you haven't listened to all of it, so you're maybe halfway through of part 1, right?
No, the second episode. I started the second episode by accident.
Oh, okay. So there's still a lot to miss.
I still have to rewind and go to the first one and watch like the second half.
What are your thoughts so far?
So I mean, you see all these videos about Andrew Tate, and he's always just, I guess, straight to the point and bold, and it's a good thing. But also, I feel like I don't agree on some of his stuff. I mean, also like nobody's gonna 100% agree on somebody, I guess. But I mean, yes, Andrew Tate has some amazing, just factual, just straight to the point, just facts, you know.
Yes.
And that's the thing with George too. Like George George was not a believer at all until he just like found out about Christ, and then that's when he just like, and then that's when he just totally invested all his time into Christ, and then he got tons of hate about it.
Mm-hmm.
And him actually just like dealing with that and actually listening, because he just posted his latest episode. It said how Andrew Tate changed my life, and then under it says, "I have no girlfriend." Did you know that?
He has a girlfriend,
but I think they broke up.
No. Oh,
no?
I listened to it.
Oh,
they're
really?
engaged.
Okay.
Yeah, I was curious too.
I was like,
what is that?
It's like, did they break up?
She wasn't also in the episode, so I was like, huh. No, they're engaged now.
Okay.
Well, no, I do, because that was something I kind of talked about, and I didn't explain it very well. But like, it was because I started watching Impulsive because I thought Logan really grew as a person. Mm-hmm. I kind of stopped after the George Janko drama.
Me too.
And it just threw me for the wrong way. As someone that sees myself as a Christian, I don't necessarily flash the label around, because I also don't like some people that do that. Like, you know, like some people almost walk around that if I'm Christian, I'm almost better than other people. That's what I don't like.
I mean, I'm always going to say I'm a Christian.
Yeah, but
I'm never going to say you're not a Christian, you're going to hell. But no, because that's not what Christians do.
No, exactly.
At all.
But that's the thing. Some do. That's why I don't try being pushy with it. And
that's not what God has called us.
Not at all.
God has called us to actually bring other people,
love one another,
bring other people to Christ, or to be another disciple.
Well,
be another disciple.
Mm-hmm. And so,
but yeah, when Logan and Jake started saying that,
it's just a lot. It really
and
was.
I was just like, you jerks.
Like, I mean, he was basically degrading George for his beliefs, questioning everything. They were doing everything.
They were literally making fun of him.
It was a lot. It was a lot. It was just kind of like I mean, okay, you don't believe it. That's
because
fair. That doesn't mean you treat someone that way.
Yeah, they even said like you're going to believe in somebody you can't even see or something like that. I remember they said something about that.
Like, I was did you believe in Santa as a kid?
Yeah, that's what like actually pissed me off.
Well, I think part of that in general made me mad, but just in general is like his personality and ego with it. And I was like, this is supposed to be one of your good friends. Like that alone, like Logan and George.
Yeah, I know.
So it's like that alone was like, really? Like that's a lot to really try throwing on someone and treating them like that. And I was like, I understand why he wanted to leave, and so he did. And even he said like if you haven't listened to the Andrew Tate podcast episode with him in general, I think that's probably one of his best episodes ever. Mm-hmm. And then even the one afterwards that he talks about is really cool, because he talks about how he's like, I really realized that I just need to be me, and people looked at me for being the funny guy, trying to make jokes, everything. Like, and he was talking about that in the newest episode.
Is hilarious.
And he is funny, but it's like people thought that was just me, and I couldn't have in-depth, real conversations, and I couldn't really show myself. And he's like, I think the Andrew Tate episodes were one of the first episodes where I was really able to show my true colors, and people responded amazingly to it. Like the feedback he's had off of that, and the amount of subscribers and followers he's gotten on Instagram, like all this stuff, he's blown up from that. Like those episodes have been amazing.
Alone. Yeah,
I mean,
honestly am so happy for him.
I am,
because him just changing into a believer and getting all the hate.
Well, he was always Christian. You don't know that? He was raised Christian.
Yeah,
he just wasn't. He just wasn't super.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of just fell off. I feel like is that the way he said it? He said something.
Something along those lines.
Yeah, but he
strained away.
He came back. Shall I say? I guess that's better wording. But
yeah, and it's really good. And I know what you mean with the Andrew Tate things. Like when I looked at it, certain things I found what he said because they were offensive. I found them funny, but then at the same time did have some truth to it. Yeah. But even he said, and that's the thing, you might have missed it in some of the conversation just because you haven't been there yet. But he like George calls him out for it. He's like, you make good points, but why do you got to say it this way? And he's like, well, at the time it was, and it makes sense too. It's like, let me say it in the most outrageous, hateful way possible because it's going to get the most attention. Negative publicity is publicity. He's like, I literally became the most searched Google man in the world in 2022. And I became the most well-known person in the world. And it's like, you know what? Okay, fair enough. You're right. You did. Like, you did that. But it's like, I think this is the time where you kind of change and realize, like, the points you're making don't have to be hateful. They're not. And the stuff
Right.
you're trying
I
to
feel
promote
like-
is good. It's just
Yeah.
how he comes across
Yeah.
that pisses so many people off.
True. Yep.
And so I feel like in the end, he honestly has a very positive message, and he's a really nice guy. Like that's another thing. After you listen to those episodes, you need to listen to the latest one because he breaks down some of the things afterwards and talks about what they did.
I will.
And everything.
I'm really.
He's like
getting
he's
into it.
genuinely a nice person, but he's also like. It's also like walking around with the president. He's like, there was people there that I had no idea that was part of his gang, like his crew, that were probably armed to the teeth, and we had no clue. And he's like, it was insane.
It was wild, probably.
and just the whole story. It was amazing. And then also to hear, like, obviously they're never gonna see this, but congratulations to Bella and George on getting engaged.
Oh yeah,
it was very cool. It was cool for him to talk about that story.
Idea, so
I mean, I've always thought that they were a cute couple, even when I first saw them.
Yeah.
Dating, because every now and again I would watch some of his YouTube videos, and I was like, they're both very sweet. And then seeing some of their podcasts before the Andrew Tate one and all that stuff, and just seeing their relationship, and I was like, they honestly do have like a very like a relationship that I wish I had, like a very valuable one, and to see them actually push towards that and him pop the question, I was like, that's pretty awesome. Not saying I didn't see it, but I was like, that's really cool. Yeah. And it's very beautiful, and I think they're a really cute couple, so I'm happy for them.
I am too.
So I got to ask, one of your things that you put down on your bulletin was some random numbers. What the hell do these numbers mean?
For Sudan and Egypt.
I didn't pay attention when you threw out those numbers. I didn't even look over to be like, oh, that's what that was. Because I just was like, did he ever really mention numbers?
Yep. You just didn't listen to me.
I did listen. I just didn't realize that's what it was for.
Nope.
I'm sorry. Wow, look at those numbers.
I needed to keep it a secret. Okay,
yeah, I was just like, why are there random numbers over there on the screen?
I thought it was interesting. Okay, honestly, I had no idea. So I was just like, I mean,
hey, you gotta admit, Egypt is the one that gets all the acknowledgement for being pyramid guys.
And then it was like, it was on Reddit. So like, there's a comment on Reddit. It was just like, why is Egypt like the only one that's known for the pyramids? And one guy under it was getting so mad. It was like, that's not necessarily true. Like, I was born and raised from Sudan. Like, we are known for our pyramids.
I know, but I never hear
so
anybody
mad.
being like, dude, did you see the Sudan pyramid? I'd be like, huh? What? Where's that? What are you talking about?
But no, I guess they have like 255 or over that. So
yeah, but are they as big as my house, or are they like, well, how big are we talking? Like,
they're probably bigger than your house. They're pyramids, dude.
Yeah, but there's definitely pyramids the size of my home.
Taller, at least.
Maybe taller, but you know,
dude, like a 2-story house.
I mean,
so
I
it's
could do
bigger
that.
than your
I
house.
could do that.
It's bigger than your
I
house.
could do that though.
You have a 1-story house.
I could build one. Let's build a pyramid. Just we'll buy some ground and we'll build our own. We're gonna make Indiana known for a pyramid. Boom.
First pyramid.
Boom.
Two guys in a dream. Two guys.
Yeah, first 21st century pyramid. We're gonna build it. Two guys in a dream. They might kiss. No,
no, we're not kissing. Okay,
you know that joke though, right?
Yes, yeah. I know the joke.
What is that even from?
It was two friends in a room.
Oh,
it was like a TikTok.
Yeah,
it was like
so
two friends in a room. They might kiss. Yes, we will.
What? I don't even remember.
I said yes. We will.
I don't even remember how.
And it was like got onto some song and they like did this and then they're like this.
See, he knows more about it than I do. That's what's sad.
You're just old.
Okay, well, that makes me want to call it there because it's about my bedtime. I need to eat dinner. It's like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I know it's not 4 o'clock, but
I wish it was.
It would be nice. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed. Hopefully the multicam works out pretty well. And like we said, be sure to like and subscribe. We haven't said that, but be sure to like and subscribe.
We said it.
We're at 235 as far as I'm aware. And be sure to comment any questions you have for Brian. Anything you guys want us to ask.
Just random
anything you want to ask us. Why not?
Yeah.
Comment it, and we will read your comments and message you guys back. Why not?
All right.
So we will see you guys all next week.
Yes, we will.
Peace out, everybody.
Bye.